Are off. All right, guys. Welcome back to another edition of the Pittsburgh Combat Sports Podcast. We are here today with a super special guest. You know her well if you follow 247 FC for any amount of time. Syd Ross is an animal, and she's with us today. How you doing today, Syd?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Of course, she's rocking that Gorilla House hoodie, and there's a lot to be proud of at Gorilla House right now, man. You guys have 3 title fights coming up at Brawl in the Burgh 10, February 5th. What's the vibe like with the team right now? Things have got to be absolutely buzzing, right?
Yeah, we're going pretty hard. The practices, the training, we're getting into pretty much the thick of the camp. We're gonna start doing our fight sims and stuff like that soon. So it's pretty much we have a small team. You guys probably know. We probably have one of the smallest teams in like the Pittsburgh. Really, we only have about 5 fighters. And so our fight practice pretty much now it's just been mostly me, Cam, Ethan, and then we have Sheldon and stuff coming in too. But it's pretty much everybody's in camp. Like the whole gym, the whole fight team is in camp at the same time, which doesn't happen extremely frequently. But the whole team is in camp, and the whole team pretty much is in like champ camp, like belt fight camp. So it's really unique.
That's a super interesting dynamic. Like, is that good or bad to have everybody in camp? Because I can see it both ways. Because everybody probably needs extra attention, which makes that hard to go around. But then you're all also motivating each other, which seems like a positive. Does it feel like better to you having everybody in champ camp, like you say?
Yeah, it is. I kind of actually prefer it just because the motivation's just going around everybody. There's nobody that's I wouldn't say any. We all train hard in and out of camp. Pretty much are in there every day, regardless. But um, just when you're preparing for a title fight, everybody's taking everything really, really seriously. There's just no. It's just everyone's coming in and working hard for the 2-hour practice. It's it's not as not that the practices are ever lenient. I just think everybody understands that there's a difference between when you're in camp, like there's a shift in the training, and to have everybody there at the same time just keeps everybody, well, for me at least, on track, focused. You just kind of taking motivation from them.
Nice. Yeah, Ryan, I want to kick it over to you because I know obviously you've been working with Syd for a very long time, basically since the inception of 247 FC. So to see her in this moment now, February 5th, with another title opportunity on the line, man, what's it like from your perspective as the owner, promoter, watching her development through 247?
Well, I mean, when we met, she was 18 years old, and this young, fiery, tough girl that was still in high school and
I was
fighting her
still in
first
high
fight
school.
in high school. So she fought her first fight that with another promotion that I was, involved with, and went to school like 2 days later. It's like that's funny to me. That's just odd. And I think Paul Dodson did the same thing recently. But just watching Sydney develop and earn a title shot, and like she fought a title fight outside of her weight class, and now she's actually fighting one in her own weight class. So just to earn those shots and just to come so far in her maturity and development, and this I always tell everyone, like, it's a process. Like, enjoy the process, because there's going to be a day where you like look back and you're like, oh man, I didn't know how much fun I was having. Like, enjoy what you're going through. I hear it way too often from people that don't enjoy it. But super proud of Syd, and it's no secret that Syd and I have a good friendship, and that, so I'm her biggest fan, and but at the same time, like, I'm not putting her in a position where it's going to be easy, right? You can tell, like, she has tough fights, and she doesn't even want that. Like, she's like, no, I want the toughest people you got. And so it's just awesome working with her, and so proud of her. She's awesome.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Ryan.
It's pretty funny for some like behind the scenes for you guys. Kind of Ryan hinted at it, but Syd is one of the few fighters who actually sends us ideas for her opponent. Like when we match make, we usually go out, scout, we have our lists, we have our system and everything to set up matches. Syd is a fighter who will come to us with like 5 names, like, hey, I researched them on Tapology. They're all tough. These are all awesome fights for me. Like check these girls out. So that's awesome. I think that's great. Like how often, Syd, like when you go home, are you just constantly in fight mode researching potential opponents or what? Because it seems like you're super plugged into your options. Like in women's MMA, there's not as many options to match to begin with, but it seems like you know the landscape extremely well.
Yeah, there's just not that many girls. And once you have the amount of fights that I do, I've just been in the scene with these girls that also have the same amount, like 6 or more fights, I'd say. Like there's advanced Amy with more than 3, but then there's like a really like we're all amateurs. Like but there's still levels to the amateur. There's and I'm just really not interested in fighting anyone with 1 or 2 fights or who's debuting. It's your Amy. I just don't feel the need to pad a bunch of wins into an Amy career when it's going to start over and go back to 0-0 anyways. Just to go through the camp and to put, against someone who is just not experienced, they're not developed, they're a little greener, you know what I mean, only has like a way less experience than I would have. First of all, I just wouldn't feel like morally right fighting someone of that. That's how you get people who are one and done with it. Like if someone wants to do the sport, they want to be an MMA fighter, don't beat it out of them because they don't know yet. They don't know the ropes and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. Like don't take that from a girl that's aspiring, because there already aren't enough as is. And if they got fights that were appropriate for them and worked up the good way, then they might have stuck around a little longer and they might have developed into being somebody. So I try to pick fights as an amateur that are going to make me better and teach me something and do something for me versus, you get the win, like you get the feel good ego, whatever, but you don't come out better, then it's really nobody's in their Amy career is good enough for, to be just taking fights like that. Everybody needs to learn and to get better and to be pushing themselves so that they can be kind of get to that next level. Like I'm not there yet. There's no Amies that are there yet. It's kind of just about humbling yourself and being like, all right, I don't need the hype from that 30-second knockout that I know I could get against somebody who's debuting, no fights, 1 fight, 2 fights. Like it's just not. I want to take somebody who has more fights than me. It's kind of limited because I feel like I am sticking around as an amateur for a long time just to really make sure I'm ready and prepared, because I don't want to do a bunch of learning. I mean, you want to keep learning, but I don't want to learn big things as a pro, as far as like something that would maybe lose me a fight because something I should have learned as an amateur. I don't want to have to learn as a pro because I rushed into things.
And
that
that's
I
when
think
your
I was
record
like
matters.
yeah. Starting at 18, I kind of got lucky that I kind of get to take my time. And yeah, I could take 11 amateur fights before I go pro because there's no pressure. I used to want to rush on and get to the next thing and be like, oh, I just want to go pro, or I just want to get this started with. But it's like taking a step back and be like, okay, yeah, I am 21 years old and I still have a lot to learn. Just chill out as an amateur. Like, just enjoy the now. Be in this moment. Because you're right. Like, one day I'm going to wake up and the whole thing's going to be behind me. Like, I'll be 30s, 40s, can't fight anymore. And you don't want this part to just been a blur waiting for the next part. Or to make mistakes and miss out on learning opportunities because you were just like, I want to get there where I want to be so badly. And I just want to hurry up and get there.
Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of people do get tunnel vision like that, kind of like you're talking about, where they're just always looking ahead to the next thing and kind of miss where they're at right now. But it seems like Gorilla House does a good job, not just with you, but I mean, even Cam's amateur career so far. He's a guy who probably could have turned pro skill wise. He is on par with some regional pro bantamweights in my opinion. He could be a pro as well. Is that a Gorilla House kind of mentality for you guys? Is that something that your coaches hammer home for you, or is that just kind of coincidentally how both of your careers have panned out so far?
Um, it's so the first when I first started fighting, Ethan was always a big thing of like 10. You got to get 10. He's like 10 AMI fights at least. Like that's his mindset because of the same thing. Every AMI needs to have, at his opinion, at least 10 fights before they go on and take on trying to go pro. And I do agree with that. I don't think there's necessarily a magic number for everybody. Because people start their amateur careers with different experience levels, and if you have a background or if you have experience competing in another sport, like maybe you wrestled at a really really high level, those type of people, they don't really need the same amateur career as someone who's competing for the first time ever. This is the first combat sport they've ever done. Just with MMA, you get a really different group of diverse mix of different people from coming from different disciplines and different experience in each discipline. So I don't really know if necessarily 10 is a great fits all. It works for me though. It's probably going to work out for Cameron, just getting the experience and, like I said, learning everything, knowing what an amateur fighter should know by the time you go pro.
Yeah.
That's funny that you say that because Hunter just messaged me yesterday, I think it was yesterday, and said, "Hey, just curious if Cam were to win this fight," and then he clarified, like, "Well, I don't really think it matters whether he wins or loses. Do you think he's going pro?" And I said, "No," and I didn't even elaborate, but that's the kind of feeling I think that he's not in a rush and he wants to. The thing I like to see with like amateurs is I like to have them have seen different looks and different things. I don't like. It's not doing anyone a service to have an amateur run through a bunch of the same type of fighter, and then they get to pro and they're like a fish out of water. Like, whoa, I never saw anyone shoot like that hard on me. Like, I've never seen someone throw combinations like that. Like, those are experiences. Our goal is to give you different experiences. When win, lose, or draw, like, we want to set you guys up to extend your career.
Yeah, it's ego and it's respect, because it's easy to get when you fight and you want to be a fighter. You have to have the mentality, I'm the best in the world, I can beat anyone. You have to have that confidence, and it's hard to it's hard to keep the right mindset as a fighter and not swim too far into either way of the lack of confidence, of not being so humble, but being just not, just being like, I have so much to learn. I don't compare to these high level people, and kind of second guessing yourself and not seeing that the work to be put in will get you there, and you have the ability to get there. You can do that. And also, people are kind of like, I can go pro, I can smash anybody. They have all the confidence and the self belief in the world, almost to an egotistical, cocky type way, and then they get in trouble because it's not fake in there. It's
Yeah.
real.
Well,
You go in there pro too early and you start getting your face beat in. The world will teach you humbleness, whether it's got to teach you the hard way or the easy way. So I figure, you could be smart and see the people getting highlight reel knocked out because they, sometimes stuff happens and two people who are equal level. But when you get a mismatched fight, as these people that go pro, and they get completely embarrassed, and then you can't go back. Once you learn that mistake, there's no going back. You have to figure it out as you go, and that's kind of like it's a hard game you got to play to find that to find that fine line where the perfect mixture of every type of emotion and feeling towards.
That's the funny thing is, like, it's amazing how many messages from people we get, like, that are like, I want to fight, like, blah blah blah, and we'll be like, okay, where are you training at? And they'll be like, oh no, like, I'm at, like, I train, like, people think because they're like a tough person or like they
Yeah.
like MMA that they're ready to step in the cage, and it's like, you haven't even rolled, like, you don't know
You have to
what
respect
you're
the
doing.
people that have dedicated their lives to the sport, the people that know more than you, the people that have been training longer than you, you have to respect that. Because when you get there, the people coming up, you'll be looking down at them like, this kid doesn't know. This kid doesn't know anything. And, down there you look stupid. Like, you're confident you got that part down, lock, but it's like, you gotta respect the process. You have to, you just have to.
As a family of a gym owner, like, do you guys have a lot of people coming to the gym, like, thinking they're ready to take a fight, like, immediately, and you're like, you don't even know, like, you don't know anything.
Yeah, we get crazy people coming in sometimes, and they.
We don't have to talk about Ethan if you don't want. I mean,
And the raccoon.
Yeah. We actually got a really good question right now. I'm going to throw it up on the screen for you, Syd. Gerard Thomas says, "What kind of style are you most comfortable with? Muay Thai, wrestling, jiu-jitsu?" That's a good question even for me. I don't think I could answer that for you, so I want to hear this from you.
I try to be extremely well-rounded. As like a kid, I kind of, did a little bit of each combat sport, messed around with a little bit of, and our training routines were pretty split evenly between striking and grappling days. My striking's getting, I'm a pretty good striker, I'd say. I did all these boxing fights. I think I'm 5-1 now, my boxing record. Darren Cassidy, his striking coach, he's one of the best. I've come a long way in my striking, I think, since I started training with him. But I did grapple most of my life as a kid, and that's kind of what I really started is. And I did the wrestling before I even started boxing. So I think as far as my personal comfort will probably always be on the ground. But I think I'm so well-rounded that I can hang with anybody standing. I've fought some really, really good kickboxers and finished them on the feet.
Yeah, she says she's well-rounded, man, and it's super true. That's what I was saying. Like, I wanted to hear what you thought you were best at, because watching you fight, you are one of those. You've heard for a long time. Like, back when I was watching UFC, kind of in its heyday, 2006, 7, 8 ish, and guys like Rory McDonald were coming up, and everybody was so impressed that Rory was just good at everything. Like, he trained everything from the beginning. He wasn't a Muay Thai fighter transitioning to MMA. He was just a kid who trained MMA his whole life. And that's kind of what your style reminds me of too, Syd. Like, there's not one thing that you can say to me that just stands out above everything else. Like, anywhere the fight goes, you look super comfortable in there. And I think your last couple fights are a perfect example of that, against Gabriella and against Angel Blackwell. Those fights had a little bit of everything on every level, and you had success in various positions everywhere the fight went. So I think it's definitely showing inside the cage too. But the fight with Angel, I did want to ask you about that a little bit, because that did kind of turn into a boxing fight for you, and that was a banger. That was an awesome fight. A Syd Ross fight, for people who haven't seen her fight, is like always a fight of the night contender, but that one was exceptional. Like, what was it about Angel's style that kind of brought out the best in you in that fight?
Her knockout power, I had to respect that. I'm looking at her across the cage, and she's built, and I was like, I don't want to get hit hard by her a lot of times. It's not going to go well for me. So she feints a lot, and she's moving around, a lot of movement, a lot of fast twitch movements that can like throw you off, and like fakes, and so it was hard to read. So I was forced to, move around, and I just decided I was going to counter. She came in really hardly committing on 2-3 punches, the bum rush, the brigade of hard punches, someone she's trying to come knock me out. So pretty much weather the storm, slip, get out of the way, fire something hard back, and then just keep moving, just stay moving. Whenever there was kind of more of a lack of the action, she wasn't punching, I tried to do more. We were both, by the end of the round, just from the pace that we were maintaining the whole fight, we both started to fatigue. Watching back, I think I a little more than her, and which is why we're working cardio so hard this camp, because it's never going to be a weakness of mine again. I'll tell you. I told Ryan that immediately after the Valdez fight, but trying to set my own punches up to kind of stop her from wanting to throw by, keeping just a range finding jab out in her face and just moving around a lot. So it was a legit chess match to, one wrong move and you're catching a really hard punch to the face. So, and then I mixed the wrestling and stuff in there. When she clinched me and put me against the cage, I felt stronger in the clinch, and I was able to get that body lock and that foot sweep takedown. And on the ground, I felt pretty comfortable. I was able to maintain on top pretty well. She was strong and was able to stand up out of a lot of those. I remember the commentating. They were like, "Oh, she's gonna ride this out here." And with 5 seconds left, she just stood up with me, kind of on her, and I was just like, "She is not to mess with." But I felt like mixing that in would keep her from being able to sit down and get comfortable and land something hard, just to keep them. Just keep something in her face, keep her busy, make her focus on her defense so that she can't get as much offense off. That was my game plan right there.
Right. That makes perfect sense. And he says, "I'm excited now after hearing you talk. Looking forward to watching your next fight. Best of luck. Happy New Year, guys." Happy New Year to you too, man. Thanks for tuning in. And actually, we got a little video clip for you of Syd doing her work inside the cage. So that seems like a good time to play it now, because you ask what her style is, what she's all about. So we're going to roll this video and just show you.
Kick there from Ross. Left hand lands.
Speaking of kicks, head kicks are still not allowed, but they are shin guardless here. That was really good on Ross. Oh, and she's got to really hurt. It's going to be over. Sydney, the blonde demon, with a TKO body kick. But when we see it, it's going to happen fast.
Just
right
counters
there.
Off of that left hand, and
it went all shin in there. Great stoppage.
Who doesn't love a great liver kick? But besides the kick, I got to ask about the sass after that finish. Did you see that sass while you were walking away? There was some absolute swag going on there.
That was the most, the thing that stood out the most was just the
Yeah, it's just all about finding openings, and kind of when you win that game over someone, it is just a great feeling where you're playing. It's like playing, I keep saying, checkers or chess or tic-tac-toe. It's such a mind game of finding openings on top of being athletic and imposing your will on somebody and being strong and having the punches. It does come down to you have a certain amount of time. There's the rule set. It's a sport. And when you start to shift your mindset and look at the sport and try to learn the ropes of the sport instead of fueling your fight rage over, "Oh, I'm tough, I'm gangster, I'm gonna go in there and do it, I'm just gonna beat somebody up, I'm just so bad, nobody." Instead of I'm in there and I'm gonna beat you mentally. I'm gonna put the punches and the kicks in the right spot at the right time. I'm gonna make you mess up your holes and your mistakes. I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna beat you here, and when you beat somebody there, and you know what I mean. I left that fight scot free, not a scratch on me. I didn't have to make that a dog fight where my nose was busted, bloody. That's what she wanted. She was used to standing there and banging and beating people just kind of by brute force and being tougher than them, and to come in there and get it done in a minute and a half and to walk away without a bruise on me. You're kind of like, what's up with it? Like,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's dorky, but it's like, I won the chess match. It's kind of weird to take like such a violent sport like fighting and to try to, I mean, at the end of the day, you do, like, you're getting hit in the face. You got to be tough. You got to, sometimes at the end of the night, you got to bite down on that mouth guard and win that round. But it's really changing. The sport's changing from how dangerous is the dude to how much of an athlete and an MMA fighter is this person. Like, how much do they, like, what do they know about the sport?
Yeah, that's super true. I mean, that kind of speaks to kind of what we talked about earlier, just the way MMA athletes are evolving over time. People like you now coming in when you're 18 years old already with a pretty solid background in various martial arts. Like, that's not super uncommon anymore. Back in the day, that was pretty much unheard of. But nowadays, there's a lot of guys coming up like that. And I'm sure you have young guys and girls at the gym too that are coming in like that you're shaping now, that you can kind of already see the next wave of fighter out of Gorilla House. What's it like for you? Because we talked about it. You're only 21 years old. Like, you're so young, but you're a mentor for a lot of these fighters. What is that dynamic like? Because it seems like in a lot of ways you're still just beginning your career too, but I'm sure you have a lot of fighters at the gym look up to you and you instruct them and help them.
I do have my kids classes and stuff. There are out there. We don't have a children's MMA program, but there's like kids out there who are fighting and they're like practicing MMA and they're 5-6 years old. There's programs like that out there. As far as our actual fight team, I'm not really the leader or the mentor. I'm pretty much actually the smallest. I don't want to say the worst, but I'm definitely the one that Cam and Ethan are helping out and catching up all the time. So it's nice to be able to pay that back to some of the kids. Pretty much, I teach kids boxing, just to give them, some of the same experiences I did coming up, to share that love of the kind of the game.
Yeah.
Our area, it's kind of smaller. We do have a few younger people trying to come up, interested. It's still growing around here, though. Honestly, it hasn't gotten super big yet, as it really is out there in Pittsburgh. You'll see probably a lot of people like that just being raised in the MMA in the areas like that. I think you'll start to see a lot. I'm pretty sure I knew I wanted to fight when I was 11. It was before UFC even allowed women to compete that I wanted to be.
Syd, you got to tell the
fighter.
story, Syd. You got to tell the story with Dana.
Oh, Dana. I think it was either 2012 or 2014. It had to have been 2012, because I think 2014 is when Ronda and Liz Carmouche debuted. So it had to have been 2011, 2012. And that's when Dana White came out, and it was a press conference. And I believe somebody had asked him, they said, when is the UFC going to have female fighters? When are they going to get women in here? And Dana White was like, never. He straight up was like, never. And I was a kid watching that, and my little heart dropped, and I was just bawling my eyes out. My dad was like, didn't know what to do or what to say, because he was like,
well, you were like 11 or 12.
I was a kid, yeah.
That's crazy.
I was fully expecting it to be like, oh yeah, in the next couple he was like, never. Nobody wants to see that. And I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. And
Still don't forgive him for that one.
Dana White made 11-year-old Syd Ross cry.
Yeah.
Nice. That's insane.
I think he's made a lot of people cry in his career, probably, to be honest.
You're definitely not alone. He makes grown men cry, I'm sure, too, all the time. It's ridiculous. When Ronda then obviously stormed the scene and changed everything, and did you idolize her for what? Do you still idolize her? Was she kind of a role model for you coming up?
I was a huge Ronda fan, like probably every other young girl that did any type of mixed martial arts. I think every young girl just loved Ronda Rousey, to be honest, even if they trained her. Everybody knows who she is. Like, everybody knows her name. As far as, I mean, everybody's got their opinions as far as how she handled her losses and just, not really living up to maybe the fighter expectation of, handling adversity and coming back stronger. So before that, though, she was a really good role model and inspiration for a lot of people. And I would say she did kind of motivate me. You see the training videos of her getting it going there, like she's training with men, like and you're like, yeah, like we can do it, like let's go, someone's doing it. She literally paved the way and got like very much reinstalled hope for everybody doing it, that women can do it too. You can make there's still a big like political thing about like the wage differences or whatever, but like being able to compete in the UFC is the ability to make a living wage and be a professional athlete and have that be your profession, like what you do with your life. Mm-hmm. And she opened that up and gave that to everybody else that's fighting and trying to come up through now. So love her, hate her, whatever your opinion is about her, she literally carried women's MMA on her back. It's like it up the biggest mountain, which is just getting in there. Yeah, her striking was outdated. Like, people are coming up now and they're a lot better. People have their opinions on how good she actually is now, but you got to give that respect for her to have done what she did. That courage that took.
I definitely think. Go ahead, Ryan.
I just was going to say everything should be measured in your time, and taking things out of like the time period and moving it to like a different time period. Just, I mean, people try to do it with everything now. And ultimately, like she had more on her shoulders than any other athlete in the UFC ever. Yeah. And so you can't appreciate how much what she did and how much it meant for women, period, in UFC.
Yeah, and I think people honestly forget how good Ronda was in her time because of exactly what you said, Syd. Like, her striking eventually got revealed as very outdated and couldn't hang with, the Amanda Nunez's of the world. But when she was at her peak, I remember the talk about how she could beat half of the men's bantamweight roster in the UFC too, and she could box Floyd Mayweather and do okay. And like, those were real storylines at the time that people were running with. Like, people genuinely forget exactly how good Ronda was when she was at her peak.
I do remember them trying to like set her up and have her fight a guy. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, yeah, it was just something new with her every single day back in 2015, 2016. Like, she was in movies. She was, you know what I mean, throwing people around in movies. She was doing photo shoots. She was on ESPN cover. Like, I mean, she was that girl for a long time. Like, that was.
I mean,
and I think her fall, like the just not being able to rebound back from those losses, that adversity, and kind of realizing, that. But when you're at that level and you feel that untouchable, it's just hard to tell like how anybody would handle those emotions and those experiences. Because I mean, it's just she was dealing with a lot. It's a lot of pressure and that's a lot for one person.
For sure. I want to see if I can show something. I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. I've never done it, so if there's a technical issue, sorry guys, but we're going to see what happens here. Nice.
We don't see anything.
Yeah, it's getting there though. I'm clicking some buttons. Check it out.
Would you look at it?
Would you just look at it? We got the official Syd Ross fight shirt available now in our store. It's 247fighting.com/shop. Syd worked with us on this. Like, this is one thing that I really like doing in this position with 247 is for all of our fighters that are under contract, we give them the option to design a fighter shirt, and then every shirt they sell, they get a commission on it as well. So I texted Syd and got some ideas for her, and I really like how this shirt came out. So did you get one yet, Syd, in person?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Did you get a shirt yet? Have you seen one in person?
I haven't, no.
Well, when you are Syd Ross, I guess it's not as cool to have your own shirt, but
yeah, wearing a picture of you on you.
That's a little.
It's a little much. It's a little much, but yeah. But no, it's a great shirt. They're about $30, I think, in our online store, and like I said, so Syd gets a cut of that as well. It's a great way for the amateur fighters to still make a little money on the way up. It's a cool shirt, man. I love all of our shirts. I've said it before. Your teammate Syd, Ethan definitely has the best shirt. Ethan's shirt it's so ridiculous. So that's in our shop. Let me see. I guess since I'm sharing my screen, yeah, cool. It'll just go. So I'll show you guys Ethan's shirt while we're on it.
That's the one everybody really wants.
Yeah. So Ethan has a pet raccoon. For anybody just tuning in who doesn't know Ethan Goss, it's like the
Ivy.
Pet raccoon Ivy. It's so unsurprising that Ethan Goss has a pet raccoon that loves to eat Middlesworth potato chips. So it also has excellent taste. So that's awesome.
The barbecue ones, yep.
Barbecue chips. If you guys have never had Middlesworth barbecue chips, you're genuinely missing out on that.
We really need to pick them up as a sponsor.
Dude, that would make me so happy. It would make me so happy if Middlesworth would
sponsor. Work on that.
Maybe not the best for weight cutting, but the best for post fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just want to show you guys Syd's shirt. Like I said, they're available at 247.com. 247fighting.com/shop. And we're going to do a little promo for anybody tuning in now or hearing this podcast. So the next person to buy tickets for Brawl in the Burgh 10, it's February 5th at the Monroeville Convention Center. Syd has a title fight against Atty Belanger for the amateur flyweight title. We've got Ethan Goss, her teammate, fighting for the pro featherweight title. Her other teammate, Cam Allgaier, fighting for the amateur, defending his amateur bantamweight title. So we've got 3 Gorilla House title fights there. The next person to buy tickets is going to get the official Syd Ross fight shirt for free with their order. Yeah, giving away shirts. And if you buy 6 tickets, we'll give you 6 shirts. If you buy 1 ticket, we're giving you 1 shirt. 3 tickets, 3 shirts. However many tickets you buy, that's how many Syd Ross shirts you're getting. So if you want to support her, now is definitely the time. Get those tickets because this event is really filling up. It's really awesome. I'm sure Syd and the whole Gorilla House team are super stoked for the event. But I mean, the entire card, top to bottom right now, is looking super stacked. So this is the event to get to. Get your tickets, guys. And like I said, next person to get them, Ryan and I get notifications on our phone directly to our email when a sale goes through. So next name that pops up buying tickets is getting shirts too.
Sweet.
Syd's like, I'm gonna go buy tickets.
We're all 6 shirts on top of each other.
Yeah.
If I get free Syd Ross shirt, I can wear a picture of myself on me.
Yeah. When she said that, I was just imagining her layered up in 6 shirts, getting checked out, before going into the cage. She's just taking off shirt after shirt,
alternating colors. Yes.
Just 6 Syd Ross shirts coming off. That's great. But yeah, I guess we can't let you go, Syd, without talking about your opponent a little bit, because this is a really interesting component, I think, for me and for us, is always kind of seeing out-of-town fighters as well. We know our local rosters very well and their skill set, what they bring to the table, but especially at the amateur level, it's hard to find footage on a lot of these fighters. And you've got Atty Belanger, 4-2. She looks really good from what we've seen. Her record's really good too. If you really dig into her record, she has a couple kickboxing wins as well and has been successful in MMA. What have you seen from her? What excites you about this fight?
I seen, well, pretty much the fight I watched was her versus a girl named Dina Dime, and she knocks this girl out pretty much within like, let's say it was like a minute and a half, something crazy. Like it was really fast knockout, and you could tell like she was an aggressive game fighter. Very similar to Angel. She was coming in on the punches. She was very aggressive. Just someone who's game and like wants to be there and is going in there like wants to fight. I mean, it's goofy to say that, but there are honestly, I feel, amateurs, especially in the women's, who they're not really fighters. They just feel like there's some sort of attention or hype to be taken from carrying that title, especially on social media. I'm really just not interested in fighting anybody like that. Like, and honestly, that's my pet peeve, where you sandbag, cherry pick fights and you post on social media like you're the greatest, coolest thing ever. It just really warps the image of the sport for younger athletes, younger girls especially, who want to do MMA, and it takes away from what it's really about. And I mean, it is what it is, but just those type of fights aren't the fights that really interest me in taking. I feel like those people, they eventually wean themselves out, and then it just becomes, oh, I used to fight in my 20s, like, and they're doing whatever afterwards. And to make myself a better athlete, I want to fight people who are game and who, she has a lot of fights. I would think she'd want a pro career after taking a few more fights. I think she's 31 now. This might even be the fight that she's thinking she could go pro off of, or maybe the next one. She's just someone who's a fighter and is going to bring a style and a fight to the cage, and it's going to be, a challenge that I'm going to have to figure out and overcome. And I'm confident in myself that, I'm going to have the codes and I'm going to be able to beat her. There's going to be respect in there though, because she has 6 fights, 4 wins. That's a really respectable record. The footage I saw her lay a girl out in a minute, that's respectable. She's got power in her hands. She's relentless on people, and she's aggressive, come forward type of striker. So I'm like, you guys are looking forward to another really good, probably high paced fight. Just, the cage is gonna close, the leashes come off, and we're gonna go at it. That's honestly what everyone can pretty much guesstimate on happening, because I said earlier, the grappling is probably always going to be my home base, my favorite, my most comfortable, just because that's literally my earliest memory from my life is being on running laps around some kind of like taekwondo type of gym, and they have those belts that velcro together around the back, which they give the toddlers because they can't tie a belt or whatever, just the ones that velcro on in the back. I was probably maybe 2, 3, I don't know how old I was. That's literally like one of the earliest memories of my life. Like, I've always grappled my entire life. But I can strike really well. I mean, I have a lot of striking experience now, and I have a lot of striking defeats over other developed strikers. So I'm gonna take the fight wherever it's gonna go. I'm gonna bring all my skills with me, and I'm feeling great. The camp's going well, injury free for probably the first time ever. Knock on wood. First time ever. I always go in the cage with something pulled, torn. That's just kind of how it is. But the skies are blue, and we're just riding this rainbow right now.
That's awesome. That's what we like to hear. And just hearing you describe the fight, I'm already excited for February 5th, but like that got me extra excited for it, because like we said earlier, the Syd Ross fight, it like it just never disappoints anyway. But then when you get an opponent that's super game like Atty, it's adding up to be a really sensational matchup. So definitely stoked for that with gold on the line too.
Yeah.
So that just makes it even more exciting. All right, Ryan, you got any final questions for the Blonde Demon?
I don't. I just want to give Syd an opportunity to plug whatever she wants to do here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Syd, tell people. So you mentioned like the MMA scene small out in Altoona. I know that there's people that listen that, you know, want to know like, oh, where's this gym at? Like, what's this all about? Like, what are my options? So do you want to give a plug to the gym and any other plugs you want to give?
Yeah, so I train at Gorilla House Gym. It's in Altoona. It's my family's gym. My family owns the business. We have a small team, but we have really, really good coaches and we have really good teammates. So we get a lot done, and I mean we've been successful. And I think a lot of that was saying, like, you know, everyone being in camp, like, how do you guys get the attention when there's only 3 of us? You know, it's not hard, split between 2 coaches there. We have a really big gym. The square footage I'm not really familiar with off the top of my head.
It's a lot of square footage. A lot of
I mean the facility's huge.
There you go. 55,000.
Yeah. I was gonna say 60, but we have kids programs, kids wrestling, kids boxing, kids CrossFit. Well, not really CrossFit, like the general exercise. Yeah, we got 2 little babes sparring right there. Lots of different classes. We also have like indoor cycling, Zumba, sweat, you know, lifting classes, senior programs. It's really just like kind of a one size fits all type of gym. We really offer a lot for a lot of different people. Boxing, you know, MMA, jiu-jitsu, personal training, tennis. It's a really, really wide variety that you get. It's a really, we're in the middle of nowhere. So our community here, we have our few hundred members. Everybody knows everybody. It's a really family friendly, tight knit. It's a community. Like we're a little community of ourselves here in Altoona. I don't want to use the word clique because we accepting and bringing in of everyone, but it's kind of like family. A lot of people really, really enjoy being a part of Gorilla House Gym, and they just love the environment and the atmosphere that you get that comes with being a part. We do all sorts of fundraising events and, you know, just community bringing together, races, cyclothons, lifting events. Just my family's constantly, you know, donating to small businesses and helping other places in Altoona grow, just to kind of clean up the town. You know what I mean? Like just supporting other small businesses, you know, supporting the cheerleaders over at the that compete at the Jaffa. Just, you know, whatever they can do to really help the community. Collecting tabs for, you know, one of the members that got sick. We put on a fundraising, a charity event when my best friend passed away last year, for her family to start her fundraiser. We had a boxing coach that suffered a stroke, and we were able to raise 11 grand to give. We gave an 11 grand in cash to his wife to help with medical funds, and it's really,
wow.
Gorilla House is not about just, you know, people coming in, getting their workout, making a buck off of it. Like, we want to put back and help the community. It's you know, they're really just genuine, well-intentioned people, my parents, and it really pays off. Like, we have a phenomenal little empire out here in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, just the effects of the gym and what we've been able to do for people, it's really fulfilling. And just to see how we've helped different people and just made Altoona a better place.
One of the hardest working families I know. I can personally vouch for Ray and Ange and Syd and their families. Just awesome people, good people. Where are you guys located at? For those in the area, I don't know how to describe it.
It is 3200 Fairway Drive. It's a 01, the area code, because Altoona has 2 area codes. It's by the curve, the turn down before Frankstown Road. It's kind of in a road by itself. The UOC, the plastic surgery, the VA. It's on the same road with all that stuff.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. And I'm seeing on the site, is this the Jolted Monkey Coffee Bar? I need to know.
Bar.
I gotta know more about that. Like, that definitely interests me.
So we do a smoothie bar. It's we do protein shakes and coffee, and it's all real ingredients. So we have all our shakes are just protein powder, milk, and the fruit. Like we don't put anything extra in there. No sweeteners, nothing. Nothing to thicken the shake, or it's all natural. Just 100% the fruit, the protein powder. We just have a little juice bar within the gym. We have a bunch of different flavors, and we do sometimes they do we've made baked oatmeal through overnight oats, muffins. They do different baked goods sometimes.
Nice.
It's a fun little thing. Yeah, we have people who sit there, they have a shake after their workout, they hang out.
That's awesome.
We do sell supplements too. We have a small supplement store within the gym as well.
The one-stop shop. So there you go. You guys just saw the website. You heard Syd tell you everything about Gorilla House. If you're even remotely interested in any level of fitness, it sounds like you don't have to want to go fight. They have classes and programs for pretty much any level of fitness. Just getting in a gym, getting that routine going, getting healthy. It is the new year right now, so I know those resolutions are coming. So that's the perfect place. If you're in the Altoona area, go hit up Gorilla House. They're awesome to work with. Like Ryan said, the whole crew, we're super excited about Syd's title fight. Obviously, we're super excited about every Syd Ross fight. But like we said a few times during the show, her teammates are also on this card fighting for titles with Ethan Goss and Cam Allgaier. It's an awesome team. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast, Syd, and kind of spreading the Gorilla House name and just letting the world know what you guys are all about, because you do deserve a little more recognition. So it's awesome.
Thank you so much for having me on. Valley Central PA accent.
Got that.
Thanks for having me on.
She's a Valley girl, but not the kind that you're thinking.
I'm so excited for the fight. Like, it's going to be awesome. Just really grateful for the opportunity for you guys to get on these and do these podcasts, and, just get to talk a little bit about, where I'm from, what I do, say some stuff about the gym. It's just, I'm living the dream.
Yeah. So you guys saw the liver kick from Syd. If you were watching the whole podcast, you saw what she can do inside the cage. You heard her talk about Atty. We've said it a few times, but you got to get those tickets now, because this card's shaping up awesome. And like we said, next person to buy the tickets is also getting the Syd Ross fight shirt for free. So do that, rep Syd, and we'll catch you guys next time on the show. Nice.
Thanks, Syd.